Today we're looking at Suteki stencils. Create your own layered stencil artwork. You can layer it, paint it, and frame it. Some warning though, that small parts, not for children under 3 years of age. This comes to us from the folks over at Imports Dragon. A quick look at the box that it comes packaged in, some of the stencils that you can make on your own, and the back as well. What's inside? You get a stencil station, star stamper handle, sponge head, 2 picture frames, 8 plastic stencils, 2 paint cards, 4 acrylic paints, and instructions. Getting the box opened up, let's dump the contents. Getting everything out of the box, your contents will once again include a star stamper, stencil station tray, 8 different stencils, a package of 4 different acrylic paints, the Suteki paint mixing palette, 2 paint cards, 2 picture frames, and the instruction guide showing you exactly how to make your very own stencils. I guess the first thing we have to figure out though is which stencil is Spot going to do. I think I'm actually going to go with the dog stencil. I think that's going to be more fun. Who doesn't love a dog with sunglasses? Once you figure out which stencil you want to use, take one of the card sheets and place it inside the stencil station tray. Then go ahead and open up your package of paints, and for this, you want to make sure you're doing it in an environment, an area where you're not going to make too much mess. Probably the best bet is maybe at the kitchen table, and make sure you probably have an adult helping you with this. Take your paint and fill in the areas. Now it's easiest to probably fill one area, do your stencil, and then put the paint on the palette for the next color. You also want to make sure too that when you're using your stencil and you're painting it, paint from the lightest color to the darkest color. So I've already put yellow down, then you want to go to like the green or the pink, I guess probably the green, then the pink, and then finally the black. Stencil station in hand, grab your first stencil, in this case I'm going with yellow, and just put it in place like so. And again, you want to make sure that you're doing this in an area where you have enough space, you don't want to be making a mess, and you probably want to be making sure that you're wearing clothes that if you get paint on it, it's not that big of a deal. Then take your star stamper, and we've already done the yellow, so we're just going to dab the star stamper a little bit into the yellow. You don't need very much at all. Just dab it in there until you feel like you've got a good amount on the sponge itself. And you want it kind of an even coat all the way around. And then from there, you're just gonna sponge. You're not gonna wipe like this, you're just gonna dab. Just a little bit of dab in like this, and you're gonna fill in all the areas that were white. You're gonna color those in yellow. And again, make sure that when you're dabbing this, you're gonna be using very little paint. You really don't need much paint at all when you're stenciling. Just dab those into place. Dab the little hair. Little doggy hair, and dab the doggy ears. And when you feel like you've done a good enough job and everything looks like it's covered and painted, just like that, you can go ahead and carefully remove that stencil. And there's part of the dog he's already started. Make sure as well before you put the next stencil on that this is really dry, because you don't want to put a stencil on there and make a mess of it. Make sure that is completely dry. With it dry, take the next stencil and very carefully lay it down on top like that. And then you're going to take your color, in this case green, and we're going to add it to the palette here. And again, you really don't need much paint at all. Just put a little bit of paint just into that palette area. At least with the colors too, you'll know exactly what areas to put the color into. And then they got extra color spaces here that you can add other paint to later on. Take your star stamper again and dab the green. Just like that, making sure that the sponge is completely covered in green. Just like that. And again, you're going to go in and dab the areas that are white. You're going to fill them in with green. And just keep going all the way around until you've covered in all the white areas of this stencil. Once you're finished with the green stencil, peel that off very carefully, and then repeat that step with the pink stencil. One more to go. Just a few more areas to go. Of course, make sure that you get all the little areas, all the areas that are white on the stencil, make sure that they're completely colored in. Now it's time to peel back the stencil and see how we did. Wow, that looks cool. Let's get a better look at the stencil here. He came out really good. There's a little area here where down below he got, this, I think the stencil's still a little bit wet, but yeah, it looks really neat. To complete your masterpiece, find the picture frame that you'd like to use and just put it in the back like that. Take the back of the picture frame, make sure it's spun around the right way, and tab it. Little tabs on the sides here, you just snap those into place. The picture frames also on the back have a section that you can peel off. There's a little sticker just on the back here. Peel this off, and you can stick it to a surface. I would probably wouldn't stick it to a wall. No, Mom and Dad probably won't like that. But you can also just sit it against your nightstand like that. And you can look at that and think, wow, I did that all by myself. Yep, I think Spot did a pretty good job on my little dog stencil. Today we were having a look at Suteki's stencils from the folks over at Imports Dragon. See you next time.